What is static stretching and why should we do it after our workout? Hello again, welcome to the Live Long podcast and our Move for Life series, short episodes with Nate Wilkins and Shebah Carfagna, where we focus on the basics. In this episode, it's more than just cooling down. It's about recovery, flexibility, and keeping your body moving for longevity.
This is where you hold the stretch 10, 15 seconds to actually engage the muscles again to put them back in place, to send that messaging that everything is okay. I'd like to think about it as sort of the reset of the body. In terms of longevity, this is the piece for longevity that we need to incorporate. It reduces the tension in the muscles. It like aids recovery. It's the overall piece to the puzzle. And sometimes people avoid that or they don't do it, but I think it's vital to incorporate this piece of static stretching or recovery stretching in the program.
That's true, and it reduces chronic pain and the opportunity for injury because your muscles have been pushed, and now it needs that release to get that going and get the body reset.
So just explain to me in a practical sense, what is a static stretch? How does it look?
So I would demonstrate sort of with my arm. So if you wanted to stretch across your chest, as an example, you want to pull the shoulder down. Of course, you don't want the shoulder up by the head. Pull the shoulder down, bring it across your body, and hold somewhere about 5 to 10 seconds. Or maybe if you want to stretch your tricep, we've seen these exercises. I mean, these stretches before. You want to hold. And that would go with other parts of the body. You can lie down and do them. So it's just various ways to go about doing that. But what we want to emphasize again is different than the dynamic. This one is a hold, working on breathing, releasing the muscles, the mind-body connection.
A hamstring stretch would release the muscles and kind of prepare to stretch out the quads and as well as the hamstrings. You can get both in that, but you want to lengthen. The thing is, you want to build lean muscle mass, and stretching promotes that by lengthening and holding those stretches. And it's actually been linked to longevity.
And just as when we talked about dynamic stretching before an exercise and relating it to the whole body, after you've finished your movement session, your exercise session, again, is it important to stretch the entire body? Even though maybe parts of you might not be that exercised in terms of what you've just been doing. But again, as part of that cool down relaxation process, it's a whole body phenomenon.
Definitely a whole body phenomenon, but there are some pieces that we want to make sure that we hit. As an example, hamstrings, right? Hips,
Upper body.
upper body. So maybe the bigger parts in terms of static stretching, I think. But if you have time, it's good to be able to stretch everything.
I think you have to make time. It calms. I think you have to make time.
Okay.
I think that's the point here. It calms the mind, the body, reduces the cortisol levels, gets the adrenaline. It's a reset for the body after the intense workout.
That's an important point, though, isn't it? And let's just talk about that a little bit more, about making time, because I think a lot of people, everyone's rushing to get through their day, get to the next appointment. But this making of time, whether it's just another 5 or 7 or 10 minutes after the main bulk of your exercise, is crucially important. And to make that time, it's going into it with the mindset that you are going to do it. It's not negotiable.
Well, let's be clear. It's all about mindset. All right. And you have to schedule it on your calendar in your mind. So yesterday I met with my physical therapist. He's a young fellow, 27 years old. He tells me he starts at 7. He gets finished at 3. He takes on a couple extra clients because he's new at this. He has to pay off his school loans and he has no time to work out. And I said to him, how could you do this for a living and you have no time to work out? My suggestion to him was to get up a half an hour earlier in the day and restart the day just a little bit earlier, get a lift in because he's young for 30 minutes, lift the weights, and he'll feel so much better. making that time is critically important because as you go through your day, the wear and tear, he sees 20 clients on some days. That's a lot of interaction. So you have to have something in reserve. You have to have your body going. But really, what it's about is finding that way to get that time in there because self care is not selfish.
You're triggering some thoughts in my mind when you talk about making time and what you're talking about with your therapist. So, in some instances, if you don't have time necessarily, if you haven't made time to lift weights, perhaps static stretching may, in some ways, replace your weightlifting program by doing some of those static stretches. Perhaps if you're working on hip flexors or again, your hamstrings, just sort of holding those may help replace the work that you haven't done, or maybe even a squat. Say, for example, a Chinese squat. If you just sit down in your
What
Chinese
is a
squat,
Chinese
just
squat?
sort of sitting there, sit as low as you can and hold on to that squat for 10 or 15 seconds. That'll challenge your legs.
That
That'll
will.
challenge your quadriceps.
And maybe that's a good place for someone to start that doesn't have experience is that they approach it by stretching first and then move into a workout. Because remember, nothing replaces resistance training. Yeah, daddy, yeah, daddy, resistance training.
I'm not saying that you should not do resistance training. I'm saying that if when we talk about making time, and if you
Right.
don't have time, that might be a good way to get something in, right?
But remember, sweetheart, we all have time. There's 24 hours in a day. It's time management. It's really about time management and how do you take care of yourself. And as you always say, you can't pour from an empty cup.
Oh my God.
So you have to make that time for yourself. And again, if it's 15 minutes, it's 10 minutes. Really, I've been saying this for years to all of my clients. A few minutes earlier, a little less time at happy hour, you know, you know, walk the dog, stretch while you walk the dog. That's something you can relate to. Work it into the activity. There is no reason not to. Looking for a solution.
Well, that was going to be my next point, that these little nuggets of 5 to 7 minutes can be found at any point during the day. You could be in the office, you could be working, you could be, as you suggest, on your late afternoon dog walk. There's always a few minutes you can grab to do this kind of stretching.
It's really about mindset and thinking about where you will be 10 years from now, 15 years from now. As you get older, you begin to think about it because you have less time, more time behind you than you do in front of you. And that's something we think about every day. And once you get to that point, maybe 50 and above, younger folks don't think about that, but you have more time behind you than you do in front of you. And you want to make good use of that time to enhance your health span.
So let me try it this way. Let me go back. So what I'm suggesting is that after a workout, it's good, but perhaps before you go to bed,
Right.
maybe you can do static stretching, or in midday, like you said, get up from your desk and do midday stretching. So I'm suggesting that those are some options, and perhaps daily options that we can incorporate in our overall stretch program, but particularly around static stretching.
And you'd be surprised as how many individuals know this. A lot of our clients know this, but no one does this. So when we bring this up to them, they're like, oh, I can do that. I take a stroll around the block, midday with my 15-minute break. I just sit there. But I think it's the encouragement in teaching individuals better habits for better quality of life, for enhanced longevity. And that is our strongest motto that we can share with everyone. Taking that time management.
Here's the deal. You can start small, like you said. Little bitty changes can actually have big impact. Start with that. Be consistent with that. Find ways, like you said, find and make time to do that. And then just continue to build those habits, and that'll turn into resilience, and you'll be able to move into other parts of your program if that's what you choose to do.
So static stretching after exercise helps cool down muscles, relieve tension and improve flexibility. It's key for recovery and long-term mobility, keeping our bodies moving as we grow older. The Live Long podcast is a HealthSpan media production. I'm Peter Bowes. You can contact me through our website, livelongpodcast.com, where you'll also find show notes for this episode.
This podcast is for informational, educational and entertainment purposes only. We do not offer medical advice. If you have health concerns of any kind, or you are considering adopting a new diet or exercise regime, you should first consult your doctor.